This is Senior Algebra, Section 6.3. Today we are factoring trinomials that have a coefficient, a leading coefficient greater than 1 by using guess and check. So when we do guess and check here, we take a look. We have 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. We know that 2x squared, what multiplies to 2x squared? Well, it's a 2, so 2 and 1, so it has to be 2x and x. Now at this point, we used to, or we had to before, when it was just x and x, go, okay, what multiplies to 6 adds to 7? Okay, can't do it here, 6 and 1 here. But I can't do that now because I have that 2 in there. So I'm going to write out the factors of 6. Well, what are the factors here? That's 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So at this point now I have to try them with the 2 here. I have to multiply 2 times one of these numbers to get that. So options here. Okay. Now it could be 1 and 6, it could be 6 and 1. Okay, so if I took 2 from the 2x times 1 and 6, or 2 times 2, and then the 3. So again, I'm getting that 2 from the beginning part here. So it could be 2 times 6 and 1, or 2 times 3 and 1. So now I'm going to look and go, okay, when I put these together, 2 times 1 and 6 here, I want a 7x here. I want 7. So 2 times 1 is 2, and a positive 6, that's 8. Nope, that doesn't help. 2 times 2 is 4 here. Oh, it gets us our 7 here. Now, I don't have to do all these other ones, but just showing you here, I would get 13 and 8 here. So none of these would work other than what? The second one here. So I have to take 2 times 2, and then plus 3 here. So how do I get the 2 times 2? Well, the 2x has to multiply to the 2 here. So where does the 2 have to be located? There's my 2x, and it multiplies to the 2 over there. So I have to put a 2 there and a 3 there. Now I can check my answer here. 2x times x, 2x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2 is 6. So I get 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Notice it does check out. It is correct. So that is my answer. 2x plus 3 and x plus 2. In B, I'm going to do the same thing. Now I have a 6 here. Okay, what are the possibilities there? What are the factors of 6? Could be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. Now we've kind of lucked out here, and the last number is a negative 1. Okay, well that has to be a 1 and a negative 1. So there aren't too many choices there. So it could be a 6x and x, or it could be 2x and 3x. I have to go through the possibilities here. Hope I hit the correct one right away. Now if I look, as you get better at guess and check here, you may be able to see some patterns. Okay, if I look at it, it's a 1 here, so I'm going to multiply 1 and a negative 1, and I wanted the inside term to be an x. I know it's going to have 1 negative and 1 positive here. So if I was doing this, I would try the 2x and the 3x first, simply because that's going to leave me with numbers that are closer together. 1 positive, 1 negative, that's close together. Probably get me to a positive x, my middle term, sooner here. But I can still try the 6 and the 1, 6x and 1x. When I do that, notice it could be 1 or negative 1, or it could be negative 1 and 1. For each of those, I get 5, I get negative 5. Nope, that doesn't work. So now I'm going to try 1 and negative 1, or negative 1 and 1. Again, I just switched these. So now I take 2 times 1, and 3 times negative 1. On the bottom, 2 times negative 1, 3 times 1. So when I look at the top one here, I get a 2 and a negative 3. That's going to be, when I combine them, a negative 1. Nope, but I wanted a positive 1x. So if I look at the bottom one, 3 and negative 2, that is a positive 1. So it has to be 2 times negative 1, 3 times 1. So I'm going to have to take the 2x times it by a negative 1. Then the other one has to be a positive 1. Again, we can check it here. 6x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 1. My middle term adds together 6x squared plus x minus 1. Yep, that's correct. That's what I wanted here. So I know that is my two. Those are my two factors. So the last one, C here. Tough problem here. A lot of different things to look at. First thing I do, 28, 58, and 30. Ooh, what can I pull out? X cubed, x squared, and x. I can pull out a 2, and I can pull out an x. So when I pull those out, I'm left with 14x squared minus 29x minus 15. So now I have 14x squared. We can't forget about the 2x, but we'll just leave that out there for right now. If I think about 14x squared, that has to be either 1 and 14 or 2 and 7. So I'm going to go 1x, 14x, and then I'm going to go 2x and 7x. So now I'm going to try all the different possibilities here. Now I want it to be negative 15. So what could that be? That's 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. And one of them has to be negative, one has to be positive. So in this, I have a bunch of different possibilities that I have to try. Now, it could be negative 1 and 15, could be 1 and negative 15, could be negative 3 and 5, could be 3 and negative 5. We'll start with these 4. There are 4 other ones because I could switch these. We'll take a look at those later. Now remember, what do? I take 1 times the first one, 14 times the second one. So 1 times negative 1, and 14 times 15. Now, I'm going to write all these out, but really if I look, 15 times 14, no, that's going to be too much here. So I can kind of eliminate those right away here. I'm going to do 1 times negative 3 and 14 times 5. And do the opposite, 1 and 3, 14 and negative 5. But if I look at all these, 14 and 5, that gives me a really big number.
Hello.
So, like 2 or 3 minutes here. So I'm going to try all these different possibilities here. Now again, You don't have to necessarily do this. When you look at it and you go, okay, 14 and 15, that's a really big number here. That gives me 210. So at this point, you can probably just cross it off. Okay. Now, okay, you put them together, you get 209, great. But you wanted a negative 29, so you don't need that one. Negative 209, no, that's not going to work. 14 and 5, that's 70. Nope, that's not going to work either, because that's 70 and negative 3, so that's 67, negative 67. Both of those don't work. Now, you could go through and do all of the 1x and 14x. I'll show you that afterwards. But if I'm looking at this, I'm getting numbers that are really big. So I'm going to try the 2x and the 7x here. I'm going to see if those numbers will give me something a little bit closer here. So I'm going to do negative 1 and 15, 1 and negative 15, negative 3 and 5, and negative 5, or negative and 3 and negative 5. Now again, these are only half of the possibilities because we could flip them. I could do 15 and negative 1, negative 15 and 1, 5 and negative 3, negative 5 and 3. And now I'm going to multiply 2 by the first one, 7 by the second one.
Trouble trying to figure out the ones where it didn't have like the X or the Y in front of it. So do you have to like, did I do that? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at this graph is right, this graph is wrong. I'll look at notes from the day before. So as I write all of these out here, I look and I have 7 times 15. 7 times 15, that is a very large number here. Again, what did I want? I wanted a negative 29. So 7 times 15 is 105. That's going to be way too big. So those first two, not going to work here. Whether it's a 105 or a negative 105, the number is too big. When I look at the next one here, 7 and 5, that's 35. 2 and negative 3, that's a negative 6. That gives me a positive 29. That gives me hope. I wanted a negative 29. Well, what does that mean? It means I'm going to have to switch the signs here. I'm going to have to go a 3 and a negative 5. And notice when I do that, I get a negative 29. Now, at this point, obviously you wouldn't continue on. You'd just stop here. But let's say those weren't the answers here. Okay, well, you still have all these other possibilities that you could do. These are only half the possibilities because you could do 15 and negative 1, negative 15 and 1, 5 and negative 3, negative 5 and 3. Notice when I do those, I would still have to multiply by 1, multiply by 14 for each of them. And I'll just show you a couple of them. 1 and 15, 14 and negative 1, well, that's going to give me 15 and negative 14. That's a positive 1. So I'm going to write out all of these possibilities here. Now, if I'm doing this, when I see that I have all these possibilities, for me it'd probably be easier to do the factor by grouping. I would say when the leading coefficient is 1, it might be easier to do guess and check. That's why we practice both of them. So notice if you see 15 and negative 14, no, none of those would work here. And again, I would stop. I wouldn't have to do all of those because I already found the answer. So what's the answer going to be? Well, I have to take 2 times 3, So that has to be a 3 over there, positive 3. I'm going to have to take the 7x times negative 5, so that has to be a negative 5. And now I can't forget about what I had out in front, which was a 2x here. Now again, I can check my answers here by multiplying.
What's it, these ones?
So it does check out. Again, I have the 2x out in front, so it's 2x times 2x minus 5 times 7x plus 3.